YouTube. Maybe let me share it on the Instagram before we start.
Yeah. It's just Jason Rosati on YouTube, but I can.
All right, I'm gonna
I
make
can
a
send you the
story really
link.
quick, and I'm gonna tag you. Look at this guy. Look at this handsome devil. My
Because
goodness.
if you go to my bio, you'll be able to come onto YouTube.
Okay, I'll let him know right now. I'm here with this handsome guy right now. We're about to go live on his YouTube channel. We're doing a podcast. Make sure you guys look up Jason Rosati. His bio has the link to the thing. We're going live. I got you. Oh, you just sent it to me. Sweet. I'm gonna tag you in this, and we can hit it right now, man.
Dope. I already started it.
All right, that's cool. That's cool, man. Let's get into it. Phones away. Let's go. What do you got for me, baby?
It's good to see you, man. Just wanted to say that.
Yo, likewise. It's always good, man.
I definitely miss the BBC family.
The old Black Basement Crew, British Broadcast Company.
British Broadcast Company, man. Those are good people.
Yeah, the best folks, man. Yeah,
yeah. You were like, come through, and that's what got it started. And then I just started inviting.
I gotta give Rob D the credit though for introducing you and I though.
Yeah.
Because another thing I have to credit him with is you wouldn't have been on my podcast if it wasn't for him.
That's a fact, and that's where we met. We were doing the instructional.
Yeah, man, it was a good time. Every time we got together to put one of his many outstanding instructionals together.
Yeah, I mean
you were there for the most part.
I think I saw you guys filming the other day, right?
I think he was doing one in Connecticut when I was filming the Edgard Invitational, which we can get into.
Ooh, Brad L. Bard getting out there, man. I love it.
Yeah, I've been going after it really. The beginning of quarantine, I was actually having this conversation with Matt from the BBC, right? I was just saying how it's the group that we had there was so imperative to keeping the mental health and sanity for myself. And he was saying, he thinks a lot of people have similar feelings. Just we were there for each other in a way where, every week, like it was a really crazy time, really stressful. But we got in there, we trained, we beat the hell out of each other, as quintessential BJJ grappling, you know what I mean? And it helped. I think every week I looked forward to it. Every week I looked forward to training with you guys. And then once my gyms opened up, I had them again. But it was huge, I think, for the mental health. What jiu-jitsu does for you is insane, man.
I think it was probably my favorite training because of just like the underground vibe. You just go into.
Yeah, it felt like we weren't allowed to learn these dark secrets.
Yeah, we literally had that energy. Like we weren't supposed to be there. Like we weren't supposed to be training. Yeah. Everyone's from different gyms, and we all just got together. Like
yeah,
we didn't
crazy the demographics, right? We had Henzo guys, 10th Planet guys. We had the works in there.
We had the whole crew, and no one cared. We all just wanted to train jiu-jitsu. We all just wanted to get better.
Man.
I'll never forget it.
It's crazy how little drama there was.
Ambitious. We all had goals that we were trying to accomplish, which is everything, that environment, right?
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
So
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're doing all these cool little videos where you're now like going and recording. We've been recording instructionals, but you're also starting to record some jiu-jitsu competitions. I saw you like going to some other gyms, interviewing some other instructors. That's dope.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So I'll give like a brief breakdown. I think you know some of this, but I'll break it down for your audience. What I started doing right at the beginning of quarantine, I ended up losing my job. Same story as 30% of Americans, 20 or so percent.
Yeah.
Yep. And it just left a vacancy in my life where I'm like, I need to find a way to do this. I wanted to avoid going back into the IT industry because, that's a whole other conversation. But I ended up finding a niche because I was doing live streams for my podcast, which is something that randomly I happened to be doing. It gave me a skill set for people who wanted to live stream things when you can't have an audience there at live spectators at your event. So the first thing I really got involved with, I'm trying to remember, I guess I guess the first thing I live streamed during quarantine, because I had done, so many things besides that, including my podcast, was this flag football league.
Oh,
They're
I've seen
called
that.
the RFFL. Yeah, the Relevant Flag Football League. I actually have their videos on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I started live streaming their stuff, and then other opportunities started opening up. I started getting more and more gear as I was getting a little bit of more money. I had to save some money because I have things I need to pay for.
You have to eat.
A kid to take care of. Yeah, you know what I mean. But you start throwing. You take whatever amount. You start cashing it away, get the new piece that's going to make your quality better. And I started to develop a really solid set of equipment where, like, originally, like you probably remember this, like I had like a bunch of bags that I was carrying into Henzo's in Connecticut to film Rob's thing, but I've shrunk it down so that I have better equipment that's smaller. And now I have fewer bags, so I can bring everything in like 2 trips max. Like,
That's a
even
big
if I'm doing a really
transformation.
big thing. Yeah.
And you already had that experience. So I think we really like needed you at that time, because I don't think people really had that. It's a cool little niche too, to help people with the live stream, especially with COVID hit. You couldn't really have the audience.
Yeah, it's a crazy niche that I kind of fell right into, and I'm really passionate about it. It's fun as hell. Like, I've always been a pretty personable guy. I love live events. I'm not even a football guy. Like, I've been telling everyone at the flag football thing, they're like, oh, what do you think? Who's like your team for the football, like the Super Bowl or whatever? NFL, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. Yeah, like I still don't know what like a first down is, dude. Like, you guys are saying all these things. I'm just like, football, neat. You know what I mean?
I got my camera, I'm gonna make sure it looks good.
I'm just following the ball, dude. Yeah, and I'm blessed to have a friend of mine, Brandon Faust, who's going to be helping me at Sogi this weekend. He was helping me tons for the flag football. He plays flag football, so he was able to fill me in on a lot of that information.
You're recording for Sogi this weekend, right?
I am. I'm going to be in Sogi in Long Island, New York. We're going to be recording that event live. It's going to be on their Facebook page, so if you guys want to see, it's going to be pretty dope.
I'll be there.
Cool. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Let me. I have my other laptop. I'm going to let me see if I can pull the overlay up. And I'll give you guys
I want to say too, man, that's like a nice event. Like, they've been very consistently growing. I think that's a good event. That's like,
yeah, they're awesome, man.
Those are good.
I don't know how well you can see it, but like I'm gonna just point at stuff.
Is that your OBS?
So I run OBS over here. Like, I don't know, you'll see this change in a second, but that's like the sponsors. Like the icon changed, right?
Yeah.
And then I have like the logos and the names of each competitor up here, right? I don't have an actual image on the screen, but yeah, it's going to be pretty sweet. And if before that, I did the Edgard Invitational, and I'm hoping I have a lot hinging on a few like tiny toothpick like kind of structures here where I need a lot of things to line up right to do this, but I'm really hoping this weekend to have on my podcast. First, I'm going to have Dylan Massington, D-Boy, as he's known. I'm going to have him on my podcast tomorrow. That one's straight set in stone. And I actually had an issue with, I had him on my podcast last Friday, but his internet was giving me shit. So we're doing it right next time. Never trust Wi-Fi, Jason.
No, man. Wi-Fi be like
when you're going live.
You know that one thing you really want to do today? Nah. I'm just going to turn it off. But man, so are you trying to do more grappling events? Is that something that you're trying to get more into? Or are you like, is that a specific niche you want to really like master yourself in? Or is that just kind of what's being brought to you?
So I'll say it is my my primary thing. Let me finish what I was saying, and then we'll touch on that. So like I was saying, I'm going to have D-Boy on Friday. I'm going to have the Sogi event. And then that night, we're going to recap it on my podcast. Hopefully that goes well. We're going to like live stream me and Chris Shangoli and whoever else is around. We're just going to say, yo, what were the hot things of the thing? And then I'm hoping to have Frank Rosenthal on Sunday. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
But to go back to what you were just asking, can you ask the question again, actually?
I was asking, like, are you trying
which events am I getting?
Specifically,
right?
Are you trying to like niche into grappling and stuff, or is that just kind of being presented to you?
So I'm very passionate about jiu-jitsu as you are. And, I think as a practitioner of jiu-jitsu, I think it's the sport that takes up most of my time these days. It's the move for me, right? It's the one where I know what's good to film. I know what angles to look for when I'm zooming in on the event and the fight, and seeing, oh man, he's got like an outside heel hook. I need to zoom in on this, and be ready to zoom out if they start doing a back step or something. It's about to get dynamic. I don't want to miss any of the action, but I want to stay intimate. And it takes a practitioner's eye to have that, right? Like in football, again, I can follow the ball, but I admit that I'm not the best at filming that. I run the live stream better than I do the filming, and that's why I usually, like I said, I let my buddy Brandon handle the filming, and then when he has to take a pee break, I'll take over and use whatever skills. And of course, the flag football thing was it got better every single time because we consistently were getting more and more equipment. And I made a negotiation with the guys there, like, hey, I'm going to do like a single cam setup. It's going to be pretty bare bones, but I am interested in getting, more and more stuff. We ended up miking up the ref by the end of it, had a multicam set up. We had so much stuff going on, and I was just doing it for free because I'm like, I just want to experiment with this. Do you guys mind if if everything goes right, the streaming quality is going to be way better, and like you're getting a crazy good deal for the amount of money you're paying me for this. It's just I wanted a live event to test things on. Yeah. And it went really well. And that's why, I think it's consistently going to keep getting better because I know what equipment to get and everything. And I'm taking my time. And a little thing that you wouldn't know unless I said it to you is I've been doing a lot of like shopping on like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace to knock down my prices on these things. I seldom buy equipment new. I try to do as many trades as I can. Like I'll trade this gear for that gear because I think that's going to be the best thing to do. And it's been working out for me pretty well, I'll say. But to kind of close, coming back to your question, jiu-jitsu is really what I'd like to focus on as far as filming. And there's a lot of opportunities out there. I think Fuji, I talked to those guys before and they were interested in some things that I had going on. Tap Cancer Out actually reached out to me directly. They're thinking about using me for an upcoming event. So I'm really excited, man.
The more you do, the more opportunity you get because people are going to start to get to know you. Absolutely. And if you're like, I feel like there's nobody there that's like the guy that comes and live records the events, who's like the man.
Yeah, exactly. There's no like the man, right? I'm sure there's like agencies, like obviously Fight to Win has a whole ass production. I'm not that guy, right? But I am a guy that can give you a really good quality situation. Like what I've been doing consistently with the Edgard and now Sogi coming up, and even any other event that I've done.
Even the instructional.
That's another example. But what I've been trying to like pitch is like I've been doing these commentator booths, right? I'll set up like a little mobile, like if they have a table at the venue, I'm like, hey, like let me set up microphones so you can have commentators. So there's a live commentary during the fights. It was crazy, actually. I did not know this. This was a last minute development. They actually brought in Maine from Grappling Rewind, that podcast. It's a pretty big jiu-jitsu podcast to do the commentary for the Edgard Invitational. And he was even, singing me praises. Like he was like, man, you really ran things pretty well. And that's pretty big coming from him. I don't think my podcast would be as good as it is without him. He was a really, feedback. Yeah, man. I'm very grateful for, you even like, meeting guys like you, yourself, Rob, and the whole BBC guys. I'm always grateful. I'm always giving the shout outs, credit where it's due, even if like, I'm maybe not as fond of you as a person. Like there's people that
I know
I'm
you
not
hate
the biggest fan of now. No, I don't hate you. Shut the hell up. But there are some people that, I feel a little indifferent toward. But if anyone like brought up like, hey, didn't he do this, that, and the other thing? I'm like, yeah, 100% he did. Like,
yeah,
if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have met this person. But he's a bum for these reasons. So
it's gonna be with anybody, right? Like any group or anything, you're always gonna have that. But I think that jiu-jitsu is what keeps the bond alive, And
it's hard to find pieces of shit dudes that are in jiu-jitsu that take it seriously and passionately. And I think that's another thing. I was talking to Chris from Sogi, right? Like he had live streamed his last event, and I was telling him, I think I'm cheaper than that person, and that person's not a jujitsu practitioner, and I'm driving way further to get to his event. So not only am I passionate about growing the sport, I want to take his event seriously. I'm going to be interested in being there. Like, I'm enjoying the time there, and I want to see his event grow. I want to see the tri-state area blow up in jiu-jitsu.
And it's not just
that's
another
really important
event
for me. Yeah, it's not. It's not. Yeah, 100%. So he was like, dude, I'm sold on it. Like you said, you're passionate about it. We're going to work great together. So, and that's just a big thing I've been kind of, showcasing everybody. Something I need to do is I need to like go on my LinkedIn and put like that I'm a live stream guy. I still haven't done that, but I have to figure out how I want to word those things. Need to make like a video portfolio. Like, I'm Rob Deagle's head producer for his instructionals or something.
You got to put your resume. I mean, that's kind of like the new age resume is social media.
Yeah, man. I absolutely, man. It's crazy how things developed. I think it's a better thing too. I think like I'll even give you an example right now, right? On my resume, I'm just grabbing one of my business cards here. On my actual resume, I have a QR code that goes to my LinkedIn. So I'm just like, dude, if you want to see more, go there, right? Like this is a link to my podcast. It's on my business card, but I put those QR codes everywhere. Like let's like stop. I don't want to read something here. Like, give me something so I can click a link later and like actually see bullet points of like real world examples of what you're doing.
That's the name of the
resume.
You gotta have them look into it when it's like 9 o'clock at night and getting ready for bed.
Hell yeah, man.
I wanted to ask you about your jiu-jitsu journey though, because that's the overall thing that we like to talk about here on this podcast is that.
Hell yeah, brother.
So firstly, tell me, how long have you trained for?
So I think I've been training for about 4 years, right? I think I started training seriously when I was like about 24. But there was time before that. Like I had wrestled in like middle school and high school. And then, and I was trash. I was not a good wrestler. And it's interesting because jiu-jitsu is a lot like wrestling in the ways that it's a grappling art, right? But the things in jiu-jitsu that that make sense don't make sense in wrestling, or maybe I have that backwards, right?
Both ways, really.
Yeah, because I remember like I always wanted, it was so intuitive for me in wrestling to face my opponent even when I was on my back, but that's how you get pinned, right? In jiu-jitsu, you always want to face, like you give up your back, you're getting choked. So it made so much sense. I'm like, God, this is what I wanted the whole time. And I kind of wish jiu-jitsu was around more popularly when I was like in high school and middle school, because I think I would have been way more attracted to it as a sport, and I'd be way better now. But it is what it is.
Earlier.
Yeah. So I learned a little bit of like jujitsu stuff here and there from like some military friends, McMap and, martial arts stuff in the army and all this other shit. You learned your guillotine and your cross chokes using the collar and all that shit. And then eventually I found a promotion called Submission Arena, right? So this organization doesn't really exist anymore. I won't go into depth on that. But it was a jiu-jitsu promotion where it was basically like a lot of super fights and like, just imagine like diet fight to win. It was a big production. I was the announcer in this corner, standing at 5'10", Jason Rosati. Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to have that happen.
Hell yeah, man. I hope to one day be able to announce Jason Rosati walking out on the stage to slay some bodies,
Hell yeah.
But that I ended up getting involved in that. And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door of jiu-jitsu, because I remember the first time I announced a Renzo Gracie guy, I was like, from Renzo Gracie, New York.
No.
And then everyone's like, whoa, I'm like, what? Whoa! I don't know what I did wrong. Oh my God. So, I made my mistakes. I made my mistakes like any dumbass. And
you learn, right?
It was, I'm a guy, I like to be humbled, right? I'm one of the guys that learns best from my own mistakes, and I can a lot of times learn from other people's mistakes. Like I love asking for advice on things, so I don't need to stumble on these mishaps myself. But one thing that I took away from that was I was getting invited to these guys' gyms. They were like, "Oh, you train?" Like, after the event, like I'd be like congratulating people on their wins and stuff. Like, "Oh man, you got to come and let us beat you up." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." Like, so I ended up going to the gym that I'm at now, my home gym, which is Valley Jiu-Jitsu. It's a sauce team affiliate in Allentown, PA. And Andrew Cockle, the black belt there, beat my ass, tapped me once every 30 seconds for 6 minutes. And I was like, all right, maybe I don't know as much as I think I know. So I ended up, joining up and getting a membership there. And then I've been because of that event, I met a lot of people. Matt DeVore is one that I met there. And
cool.
Yeah. And, I just been friends with them. And whenever I'm in the area, I've always been the kind of guy where if I'm traveling, I want to make use of my time. I'm like 3 hours away from home. I may as well hit up anyone that I know that's in this area. Cause I like to see my friends. I like to do mild maintenance on my friendships. Friends are like plants. You got to grow your plants.
Yeah. You got to water them a little bit every once
in a while. You know what I mean? So, I would travel around and then I started learning a little more and more and more. And, that's kind of how I ended up at the BBC for this quarantine thing is I just got invited. Like, they're like, hey man, I don't know what your situation is, but we're going to be training here. I know you're probably not finding many other places to train. I'm like, dude, I need to choke somebody so bad right now. I'm so stressed out. So it was perfect. It was a perfect situation. And yeah. Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
It's okay.
So yeah, So let me kind of, I'll answer your next question here. But so I was a white belt there, and then I'm a blue belt now, and that's kind of that's what started my jiu-jitsu journey was the submission arena thing, and then meeting Andrew through that. That's how I met my black belt.
Okay, yeah. So you met him, and then you started training with him. Now tell me a little bit about your early days with jiu-jitsu. What was it like? Especially let's break it down. Maybe first 6 months, first year.
Yeah. So let me think. Let me kind of touch on things. So I've always. Let me think. I'll tell you one of the things that made me stay for jiu-jitsu, right? When you get out of the military, it's really difficult for you to find a group of friends that has the same, I don't know, gusto for lack of a better term, right? There's a lot of sensitive communities out there, especially I'm a musician, right? That's my main thing, my whole gimmick. I'm the bard, right? But I really like to be able to joke around and, I like to be involved with the negative facets of humanity as well as the positive ones, right? And I don't mean I want to go out and could commit adultery and steal and shit and murder people. It's no, I want to be aware of my shadow, right? I don't know if you listen to Jordan Peterson at all, but he has this big thing about integrating your shadow. There's a dark part of you that's capable of great and terrible things, and being aware of those things gives you the ability to grab hold of them and harness them, right? If you aren't aware that you're a manipulative person, you're going to tend to just be manipulative without, you consciously being aware of it because it's just your temperament. You're skilled at this naturally, it's going to happen. So the more you sharpen these tools, the more responsible you can be with them. So with all that said, oh my God, what a tangent.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. So because of those things, I ended up getting really interested in jiu-jitsu because, you could joke around with the guys about anything. You could say anything with these guys. You can be mean to each other. I remember one of my favorite training partners that I actually started, I got my white belt with is my buddy Felipe. But he loves this choke, the suffocation choke. And it's you're not going to go to a gym where someone just throws that on you all the time, but he's getting us ready for comp where that asshole will do that. You know what I mean? So we all have dirty techniques that we'll do, some dudes really like the chin drag and stuff, but also at the same time, you know, as well as anybody, in the black basement, at the end of the day, once you're done training, we're going to crack a beer, order a pizza, get some Indian food, whatever it might be. You know what I mean? And then we're going to shoot the shit for a little bit, discuss things, try to better our minds as just because to complement what we've done with our bodies. You know what I mean?
And we can talk about our techniques and stuff too and grow.
Absolutely. And you can just joke around about anything. You know what I mean? You can joke around about,
we won't take,
dumb politics
some
shit.
People won't take it so seriously.
Exactly, man.
Crack some shit to each other. You're fucking terrible at that move.
You're dog shit, bro. It's my grandma does better shit than that. You know what I mean? But having a place where you can do that and friends that you can do that with is really important for someone like me, personally. And I think that's a huge thing that a lot of my friends that I know that are prior service military could find value in jiu-jitsu because of that. There's it's a place where you can go and really be free to express yourself in any way and then be really violent, and it's cool. It's good to have a place to get that man energy out for,
It's like another family too.
Yeah, man, it's a brotherhood thing. It's huge. I don't know, like there's not many things you can do to replace it. But yeah, that's a big thing. So I'll talk a little bit about like my training style, right?
Yeah.
So I started out. I've always been pretty competitive, right? Like I think a mentality that I have on pretty much everything I do is, let's justify why we're doing this activity, right? Before we get involved in it, before we invest too much time and energy into it, what are we getting out of it? Are we getting money out of it? So for me, like music is one, right? Like, should I buy this, $1,500 guitar? Maybe I should, because I can make that money back in pre-corona times. So this is a justified thing. It's going to increase my quality of work. Yes, this is a justified purchase. But why jiu-jitsu? What is this doing for me? So obviously the mental and physical attributes that I just discussed are huge assets. But additionally, is there money to be made here? For me, not really, right? Or so I thought at first. I was like, man, is there money to be made here, like in physical capital? Like, am I going to be going and winning these crazy giant tournaments? Probably not. I started pretty late. I would consider myself, for my age and my skill level, to be in the top percentile. Like for, late 20s blue belts, I can probably beat most of the ones that exist, just because I cross train a lot and I take my health and, my athletic abilities pretty seriously. But I'm definitely not the top one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I just proved myself with that when I got bronze at this most recent tournament at Fuji. And but that's a tale for the next 15 minutes or something. Well,
that's the humbling part about it, right? Like, but exactly though. You have to because you're going to be spending time doing this. So, and really, as far as being an athlete goes, 1% is probably going to make money as an athlete.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's like top percentile guys. So what ended up happening, because like I said, my podcast is about 2 years old, but my jiu-jitsu career is about 4. Maybe we discussed that earlier. I guess it's not. Mm-hmm. It wasn't on this recording here. But yeah, so I started training, and what I ended up doing is like, this is a great use of my time because, the self-defense aspects, like all of those things make this the right athletic endeavor for me at the time, because I need something, right? Like, I believe it was, was it Aristotle or maybe Socrates who said, it's a shame for a man to go his whole life without knowing the full potential of his youth, or something to this effect.
The potential of his body and what it can do. Yeah, I think that's a Socrates quote.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hold that one near and dear. Like, that's a big quote that means a lot to me. I think you should harness your mind and body to their full, potential. You got one shot at this life thing. You got, you know what I mean? How many years does the average American live?
Especially the ones that are eating the standard American diet.
Yeah.
Quality of life probably dips after 70.
Yeah, like around 70, right? So if you break that down, that's 365 days a year, right? So it's 365 times around 70. It's about 27,000 days. It's not that many fucking days, man.
You say it that way, man.
Yeah. College professor of mine actually did that to me, said that to my class. And that was like a huge, like, oh my God moment for me. I was like, dude, I got to take my shit way more seriously. And I even took it pretty seriously back then, but really cemented it in. And that was a huge thing for me. So I always train like, I'm going to be in a Coliseum or something. Like I'm always going to, if there's someone else on the mat that wants to roll one more, I'm there. Like, I'll do it. Even if I'm injured, I'm like, all right, let's just, even if we're going to be drilling like guard passes or something for 6 minutes, we're getting that fucking training in.
Yeah, especially
But I always have that, I always have that competitive edge. And I think that's a big thing. I was just having this conversation with someone on my podcast, but he was saying like there's a lot of like McDojos out there where it's pretty regimented and, you know, you got like your class, you get like 10 minutes of roll time and then the class is over and they're getting ready for the next class. It's like, dude, that is not conducive to me, right? For me, I would say rolling live takes up more time for me than the actual class because I'm rolling till they're shutting the gym down. Like you can ask my coach, like, honestly, they'll be cleaning the mats. And I'm like, yo, let me just drill like a couple of Minari rolls really quick on you really quick, bro. Come here, quick. Before they get to this spot on the mat, before they clean this, let me just drill this really quick.
That's me.
Yeah, man. I drive, like we just discussed, like I drive an hour at least to get there. So I got to make that time count. It's got to, like, when I'm there, like, this is just like I was saying, like, if I'm traveling, I got to get, like, whatever's in this area around me, I got to milk it all out, man. I got to get it all out. Like, they have the best sushi place in the East Coast. I want to go get that sushi or whatever, you know, like, if it's a, you know, whatever the fuck it is around me. Like, oh, they got the best escape room ever. Like, let's go check that out while we happen to be here. I'm always trying to do that kind of thing. But yeah, that's a big, thing for me. And yeah, man, being competitive, I think is, it's not for everybody, but my gym has a lot of that. Like I tend to rub that off on other people and other people will rub off on me when I'm being a bum and I just show up and I'm like tired and I didn't have my coffee that morning or whatever the hell it might be.
You need that.
And then they're like, Brian, why are you being a bum? And I'm like, you're right. I don't know why I'm being a bum. Let me not be a bum. You know?
Get in my own head. What do you think was one of your most memorable moments as a white belt?
I think the most memorable one was the first time I won a tournament. I got double gold in Grappling Industries. It was sub
nice.
Yeah. And that cemented like but let me just finish what I was saying. So it cemented my confidence that I am a skilled practitioner at this, right? Because I won gi and no gi, gold in both of those brackets. It was a 6-man bracket each. And I was I was the bottom seed of both brackets, which is hilarious because I won them both. So I
came up.
A lot of the higher guys got buys. I had to fight through every single, tier of the bracket. And man, I remember my girlfriend was there with me at the time.
Nice.
And it was so cool being there, like, because my team, like, it was a couple guys from my team. The whole school didn't do it. It was, I think, only me and Andrew and maybe like 1 or 2 other guys were there at all. And one of them was fighting for a different gym against Andrew. It was pretty crazy. And Andrew ended up getting gold as well. It was such a good, man, it was such a good day. I strive to recreate that moment, actually. It's good to have a high moment in the beginning of your career, because I feel like it's going to help you chase it when you're at your low moments later down the road. Because if I was able to do it then, I can do it now, kind of thing. But yeah, that was a big moment for me. But yeah, like, my girlfriend was there, and I remember, like, I was just like with my headphones, and I was just like in my head, just waiting to hear my name get called. And I wasn't watching any match. In my head, like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna perform. We're just gonna do a good job. And my girlfriend was like sitting next to me, just like patiently waiting as well. Like I think she had like her hand on my shoulder or something at one time. Like, cause I had my headphones in, I was like really zoning out, like, or zoning in, and I didn't want like any interruption. And it was so cool because no one was fucking with me. Like my most recent tournament was not like that. And I think I performed well, but man, I got gamed out by the rules and the fact that I was training different techniques that weren't suited for the most recent tournament. That really fucked me up. And it's, I'm only a blue belt, so I have a lot to learn yet.
It was different difficulty too.
Yeah, 100%. But I think like
white belt.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, after that, right? So I won that competition, and the guy I mentioned before, Felipe, who had been like the guy that I started training with, I think he got his blue belt like a little bit before me. And then I won this tournament, and the next day in class they gave me my blue belt, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, dude!" Like that's kind of what I was trying to end up at. I just went off on so many tangents there.
Yeah.
But that was it was like, I feel like that was a huge moment for me, and I think it really cemented a belief that I have right now. Like, I don't want my purple belt until I can do that again. I want to be able to prove that I am at a level at blue belt where I can beat everyone in a bracket at my skill level. And I'm a pretty casual jiu-jitsu guy, right? Like, I'm not no Gordon Ryan, Nicky Ryan. I'm not getting my black belt in like 6 years or something like that. Like, if it takes me 12 years or something, I'll get there. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like a top priority for me to get it, right? It's not making me money. It's just a great hobby that means a lot to me.
And it brought the connections to you for other things.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna later discuss that, but like the way that like it became worthy to me is like I've met so many people, including yourself, you handsome devil, and and I just I met some great resources, and I was able to have them on my podcast, and then it eventually turned into the resources that allowed me to film and get paid to film this sport that I'm so passionate about.
Yeah. And so sometimes it's not even just about being the athlete, but there's other things that you can still provide to the sport.
Yeah.
Other things.
100%.
I try to do the same thing. You're also talking to like the longest running white belt ever.
Oh, man.
So I understand about like being patient with the belt and just kind of like going through the process too. How long have you been a blue belt now?
I think it took me like 2 years to get my white belt. I'm pretty sure, or maybe it was just a year. Or to get to blue belt. So I think I'm a three-stripe blue belt now. I can't remember. Man, I should know that. I should know the answer to that.
He's too busy working. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this the first competition as a blue belt?
It must. No, you know what? It was. No. I lost a couple competitions before that one that I brought up, which was like it's kind of like what I said, right? Like, I got to the level where it's like I am ready to proceed. Like, I feel like I beat 2 brackets in gi and no gi. You know what I mean? And the guys they were on my skill level. Like, the second to last fight I had in no gi, a guy tried to discount ass Imanari roll on me, and I didn't know what the fuck those were at the time, so I just guillotined him, and it worked out.
Discount Imanari roll.
Yeah, dude, it was so bad because he's like this and he's doing this, and I'm like, bro, are you about to go for my legs? Like, I had rolled with Zach Edwards. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Like, by then. And I was like, dude, like, he's going to try some leg shit on me because he's doing a really bad version of what Zach Edwards does. It was so funny, bro. I wish I had the clip. I'll have to show you offline. But that guy, like, I got him in the guillotine, and like I was like arching back, and I was pulling his rash guard, his leggings down, and his ass came out before I tapped him. So I had him mooning everybody, and then he fucking.
But you didn't let go, right?
Oh, fuck no, dude! I didn't know I was doing it to him.
Hit him with his ass
he should have tapped when he fucking like the ref honestly should have been like, yo, like the ref should have like came in there and like yanked them fucking Johns up.
I was like, nah, I'm not touching.
I was, dude. My grips were so. I was being. There was way more strength than technique in that. He was just like this buff Asian guy. I'm like, how the fuck is he even in my bracket right now?
Yo, I know that feeling, man.
I know that feeling. Yeah, that was that. I've been a blue belt, I think 2 years and change. 2 years and change, I think.
What do you think is your most memorable moment as a blue belt so far?
That's a really good question, Jay. Let me think. Most memorable moment probably is meeting you guys in the BBC. I would say like that ties directly into it. I feel like the improvements made on my game, my leg lock game, and just the networking and everything. Like the quarantine did amazing things for my jiu-jitsu career. You know, whatever it might be. So I would say that's the main thing. As far as competitive wise, I've lost I've lost more than I've won as a blue belt so far, competitively. But I'm going to change that in December. So let me touch on this a little bit, right? So I got double gold in that grappling industries. It was no time limit, sub only. And I feel like my culture in my gym, we're snipers, man. We're hunting for subs, and to our detriment a lot of the times, or my detriment. I think a lot of the guys in my gym have really good positional things. Me, I'm looking to expose, openings for attacks all the time. Like I want to be the assassin. Like I want to go in there and, bust limbs quickly. I want to, break you down and figure out when that hole is going to open up and then take advantage of it. But because of that, my point game is pretty ass. Like I have some decent wrestling. Like I can wrestle a guy that's not a fucking D1 wrestler. You know what I mean? But I have a little bit of judo stuff. Like I'm confident on my feet when the guy's not way better than me. And when he is way better than me, I'm like, fuck it, man. I better fucking guillotine him on the way down. Hopefully we'll see what happens. But I end up playing a lot of bottom game, especially because of the recent leg lock stuff we've been doing. And to my detriment, again, I was giving up passes because I was trying to get different things, and I was getting sweeps, but them passing to get things, like it was close. Like every match, I think only one match a guy beat me by more than 3 points. Every other one was 2 points or less. And it was just, oh man, I'll have to show you some videos. But
yeah,
I had a straight ankle locked up on this one guy, and it was out of bounds, and they reset it. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Because I had it in. I was like, dude, he's 10 seconds away from me stripping that fucking grip off my gi and getting this sub. Oh, man.
You did the gi, too.
Yeah, I did gi and no gi. And I have been obviously doing way more no gi with the BBC and shit, just with all the leg locks I've been doing with you guys. And then another thing, heel hooks were illegal for blue belts at this comp. Yes. So it was like, fuck, dude, I had to figure out how to modify everything. Is this even a knee reaping position? Are they going to disqualify me just for getting the backside 50-50 or whatever it might be? So I was like, all right, I need to just figure out some straight ankle shit. And I ended up getting one. I won one by forfeit and one by submission. So I didn't get subbed at all at this competition. I lost every match by points, and a loss is a loss. But I didn't get subbed at all, and the wins that I did get were subs, or the guy had fucking forfeit.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like it's not even just about winning. I know this might sound like, because I've never even gotten gold yet, but I think a lot of it.
Oh, it's coming, bro. You're good as shit. There must be some crazy ass fucking white belt.
Can I tell you something, Brad? Can I tell you a story? I gotta tell you something, man. I know you're on.
I want to hear it. Let's go.
All right, so here I am. I just moved down to Myrtle Beach. I'm in the southern state now. I'm in the southern states. I guess people eat a little bit more like fried chicken or something. I go to this tournament. Everyone is jacked, so jacked. And I ate into a weight class, which I should not have done.
Damn, bro.
2 hours before, I was at the top of the weight class, and I'm looking they're like, all right, you're up. They call my name, and I go up. I'm like, this guy's in 190, right? No, he's in 170s. And I'm like, what?
He definitely water cut. He water cut.
He was my height and just jacked. And I'm like, okay, this should be fun. And
I remember my first Naga, there was one of those guys that was easy 190. It was in my 170 bracket. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I got to fight this guy.
Those guys are tough. And he was also a really good wrestler. So what happened was I pull guard. I'm like, fuck that. Pull guard. And we have just this standstill of going back and forth for 5 minutes. And in the last 5 seconds, I said, fuck it. And I ran in and I tried to do a low single. And then he ended up using that to pass my guard in the last second, and he got points. And then he won so tight. And the ref after told me, if you just didn't do that and then the match ended, I would have gave you decision because he was stalling. And I was just like, bruh. And then I'm like, all right, whatever. I do 2 other matches after that, and I got to win by points. So that was nice. And now I'm going up for third. Again, they're like, all right, they call up the 2 people, and I look at this guy, this different guy, and I'm like, this guy's in 190. What are you talking about? And I heard he was 16, and he was just 6'1",
the prodigy,
jacked. And he ended up he did a double ankle pick while I seated guard, and he threw it up and my head hit the floor and then he mounted me and I was like, oh, I'm kind of dizzy right now. Like they kind of like,
Damn, bro.
but yeah, like,
That's rough.
man, going with some of those people that are like so jacked, it makes you just like, nah, I want to go in the lighter weight class.
Hell yeah.
Way more
Yeah,
of a-
well, I always cut down. I at Naga I didn't cut weight. Like my first tournament that I ever did, like under Andrew at Valley Jiu Jitsu, and I got fucking trashed. I was just like in a terrible headspace. We were at the beach like drinking and shit the day before. I was eating like garbage. So I'm like, I'm not gonna cut weight. Whatever I weigh in at, that's what I'll be. And then I just I got humbled. I got humbled pretty good.
Bigger.
But yeah, right now, man, I think yo, he gave you a concussion.
Yo, I was like kind of dizzy, and then the ref after
That's
that,
fucked
'cause
up.
the ref almost kept calling me because I was doing Connie Basami's, and he was calling it for reaping, and I was like, so, but he was like, yo, I'm sorry, like, but that's just what they tell us, like, you can't do that move, and he was okay, but he talked to me afterwards, and he was telling me like, he's like, did that hurt? And I was like, yeah, it kind of like disappeared for a few seconds after my head hit the floor.
That's fucked.
I wanted
man,
to ask
there's-
you though.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but the reason why I wanted to get to this is because I know you are a little short on time, but this was a topic I definitely wanted to
No,
cover.
we'll go, man. I'll bump my thing back.
Yeah, tell him to fuck off. We got stuff to do.
Maybe go ahead and ask your question. I'll send a text message really quick.
I wanted to ask you about some of the things that you do outside of jiu-jitsu that might help
Yes.
your jiu-jitsu. So I know your contribution to jiu-jitsu is your recording ability, your ability to go live, and I feel like my contribution as of late has really been trying to help people with their strength and performance, their nutrition, their recovery, their injuries. And I wanted to ask you, as somebody who I feel like is quite jacked, what kind of like strength and conditioning or nutrition or health stuff do you do outside of jiu-jitsu, if any?
Yeah, so most of it is diet stuff, right? Like I try to do intermittent fasting, and that just kind of keeps me regular. I haven't been on top of it so much lately with a lot of the traveling I've been doing, but I tend to stick to 2 meals a day if I can't do the intermittent fasting thing. And that's just a main like staple of my thing. So I just want to start with a diet and then we can get to the athletic stuff.
Okay.
So I also don't eat meat, right? Well, I do, but we'll get to that. I only eat fresh caught fish and hunted meat, and it's an ethical diet. I can get into that another time. But the main thing for me there is you are what you eat, right? Like if you're putting quality shit in your body, the training is going to showcase the octane of the fuel that you have, right? So you're going to train better and the quality of your training is going to be better because of what you're eating, etc. So some of the other things I do are occasionally I will rock climb. I haven't been doing it so much this year. I've been kind of getting back on it a little bit this year, actually, especially with the Corona thing. Me and my girlfriend were doing it a lot.
So you doing that?
Yeah, I just did that recently with John Naples. He's a black belt as well, interestingly enough. And that's a great thing for grips. And I think like John was actually saying, like rock climbing is just jiu-jitsu, but you're fighting a mountain. And you know, it's the same thing. You got to pressure pass. You got to know like your techniques to, you're putting your fingernails in these little cracks in the wall and putting your whole body weight on these things. So it's an interesting art in that respect. I think a lot of my pressure and my ability to stay balanced in things come from that. But before quarantine ended, I was working at a parkour gym. And a lot of that I feel like carried over, right? The calisthenics aspect of parkour, the proprioception is huge. I think I've been actually incorporating some things that are pretty, I think I would be bad at them if it wasn't for parkour, right? Like a lot of these really fast movements where I'm not saying, like, I'll give you an example. Like a cartwheel pass, you're going to have shitty cartwheel passes if you can't do a good cartwheel. And that's just, I'm not saying that that's something that's in my game, but like sometimes I'll throw that shit around if we're being goons in the fucking gym. You know what I mean?
Can I actually tell you a funny story about the cartwheel pass? Because this is important.
Humor me.
There was this guy who we used to train a lot with Rob back at the old days when I first met Rob. And there was this guy who trained with Rob for a while, and he was really good at leg locks. And the first time I ever passed him was with a cartwheel pass. And it was right after everyone was telling me that shit doesn't work. It was the
Yeah.
first active guard with the cartwheel pass.
That's
Go
fucking awesome. I want like lately. I can do a side flip. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like basically a cartwheel without your hands.
Yeah.
And I've been trying like in comp. I want to fucking like if a dude sits guard, I want to be able to side flip over his ass and like take his back or something like. But it's one of those things where if I don't have a dummy, like I'm gonna accidentally kick the shit out of my training partner in the head or something. So I haven't really been practicing it.
Highlight
But
reel.
I have ideas for how the skills I have could work, right? Because in jiu-jitsu and even like more wrestling, you'll see this shit. You don't need to have a perfect form on like a flip to make it effective in martial arts. In fact, sometimes the best thing to do is do 3/4 of a flip where you're landing fucking and slamming on the dude's body to flatten his ass down. There's nothing like, a discombobulated dude falling on you and then his chest going straight to your chest to force you down. Like that chest exposure is going to cause, a tight squeeze on the mat for some side control or something quickly. So I have ideas for that. Something, maybe if I was doing this for money, I would explore this shit more. And I don't think it's for everybody for sure, but there's athletic aspects of me that could be better utilized in jiu-jitsu.
Definitely.
But they're dangerous things for me and my training partner, so I just don't leverage these things. It's just I'd rather dream about them almost. But besides that, jiu-jitsu is pretty big, and I lift, right? I try to lift weights as often as I can. When I'm at jiu-jitsu, there's actually, I shouldn't be saying this, so keep this under wraps.
How about them Yankees?
Well, the Yankees, but there's a gym behind my jiu-jitsu gym that has a weight. So sometimes after we roll, we'll go lift at that gym. And we're not technically supposed to do that, but
You guys are 6 feet apart.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we clean up after ourselves and take care of the equipment nicely. But that's we also if we're not lifting after jiu-jitsu, we're usually playing Settlers of Catan. I don't know if you've ever played that. It's a board game. Like we'll do that after.
You playing it.
I post it on my story all the time. So yeah, like if it was a really good day and we're just like, yeah, if you guys want to hang out, you want to lift or like play Catan, and we'll like flip a coin and either we're gonna get games here or we're gonna talk shit and play Catan.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And I think that kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier. Just the community that you build in jiu-jitsu is huge, man. And the more you get to hang out and develop those brotherly bonds, I feel like everyone wants each other to get better. And that's kind of a big thing for me lately this year that I've been doing with my training partners is if I come upon something like, on Instagram, there's fucking leg locker as a technique, I'll share it and be like, hey, is it like, I'll ask Andrew, I'm like, Andrew, like, is this legit? Does this move look like a real thing? And he's like, yeah, I can see how that could work or something like that. And then other times, like I'll have a technique where I kind of want to bring it up to the guys like, yo, this has been working for me lately. Let me explain what I've been doing and tapping you guys with. Don't let me do this anymore. Like I want it to be really effective against other people. So I want you to get a defense, develop your own, each of you guys are going to have your own defense. And then I'm going to have to battle through that. And the more you build each other up, like you just start the skill for the whole gym just spirals up, man. Anyone
I think that helps people
ask those questions, man. Yeah. It's so huge to be able to just like that. That's another asset of having a tight knit team too. Like our gym at Valley, like we have a dozen people on a really good day. Like at the most, we're going to have like 12 people in there. But it's pretty small. It's just a pretty small crowd. Most of us are blue belts right now in the gym. There are purple belts, brown belts and stuff that are around, but most often during the week, the blue belts are the most consistent showing up with a couple white belts peppered in. And man, we all just know each other's sauce. We all just know each other's sauce and know how to deal with each other. And it's so cool to have people at your skill level so you can kind of measure like, man, we're about the same skill level, but you have a completely fucking different game than mine. Like at white belt, everyone's just bad. But now
everyone's
it's like,
just smiling around.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But now it's, we have some refined shit. It was funny. My other instructor, Pat, he's the owner of Valley. he was saying how blue belts are just toddlers with knives running around. like we have a lot of these skills, and it's starting to become dangerous now that we know how to use them. But we're still irresponsible sometimes.
Yeah.
I might argue that a little bit, but it was just a hilarious thing that he said that.
Well, what I'm thinking when I like hear this, I think of like when you get to like that blue belt level, I kind of think of it in the same correlation as like fitness stuff too. When you start to develop a skill enough to where you know a lot, but you're not like super systematized on it, it's kind of like fun. Like you're kind of in like this exploration mode where like what's going on, kinda, but you're just trying to figure out your own path. And I think that as I've like just watched and met people, that I think really separates the blue belt and the purple belt.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
we're kind of having like that fun exploration at blue belt and purple belt. We're pretty confident as to like what's working for us. That's what it looks like to me, at least.
Yeah, I think, man, purple belts, in my experience, like what makes a good purple belt to me is if their pressure is crazy to deal with. Like the BBC has plenty of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Like Lito is a great example of one that just has a crazy style. Like Lito will let you do shit and then he'll armbar you out of nowhere. It's like, what
He'll
the
turn it up out of nowhere.
I love rolling with Lito for this reason, because he lets the game proceed. And God, I love it. Like Lito's one of the best guys to roll with in the BBC, like on the record. Like I always try to get one with him. Shout out the man. But yeah, man, like if in my experience, like if a purple belt can keep me in place and just fucking bully me, that's a really good purple belt. If they can just farm like points on me, like and of course you got to sub me in the the first time you roll with me. That's like an easy like, oh, this guy's good, like way to impress me. But man, like when you can get from position to position tight, oh man, that shit's like, fuck, this guy's refined. He's taking this art seriously, and that's a big thing for me, in my opinion, in my experience.
Those moments of when you're rolling with somebody who is just like a little bit better than you, but they're just crushing your game. Those are like
a little bit.
You're
better,
like you're thinking in your head while you're rolling with them. You're like, I think I could have done this, I could have done that, but man, they just fucked me up. They just shut down my whole game. I know I had to make them work, but damn, they know what they're doing.
So let me ask you, how long have you been training? Like, what's your date? Like,
3.5 years. Jesus
Christ, and you're still a white belt, bro? Yeah. You're an okay blue belt. Like, I think because I'm after what we were doing, like the last time I rolled with you.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, man. Rob gave me like an imaginary blue belt once. I don't know if you were there when I told that story.
That's funny.
He came up to me and he goes like this. He goes, "Congratulations, you're a blue belt." And I was like, "Dude, that doesn't count." He did like the Holy Trinity to me. And at the time too, this was before I even switched over to Sarah's.
So yeah. Okay, I was just going to ask that.
When he did that, I was not confident in my ability. I was like, "There's no way I'm a blue belt. I'm not a blue belt yet. And essentially, it was kind of political. Like he wanted me to have an advantage being in the advanced class over at Sarah's. But it turned out that to be in the advanced class, you need to be a 4-stripe white belt. You don't have to just be a blue belt. You can be a 4-stripe white belt. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep it here, and I'm just going to work on getting my blue belt there. And right before quarantine, they were doing blue belt handouts, and they handed out blue belts to a bunch of people who I have like back and forth with. I know they're around the same skill level as me. And then they even said like, okay, they just handed out like 7 blue belts. And they were like, okay, we actually have like a lot more to hand out, but we're not going to hand them all out right now. We're going to hand them out next class. And then the gym got closed.
Damn, man.
And so I have no idea if I was.
You're right there, man. You're at the cusp. Have you won a tournament at white belt yet?
No.
Go fucking win one, and then
the last tournament I did was intermediate.
Oh well, yeah, you're fucking ballsy then. I was thinking about going in at fucking advanced, at like, because I'm a blue belt and it's intermediate, like that's the no-gi variant. But I'm like, dude, I just want to fucking heel hook these guys.
I know. Okay, so here was the problem, right? When I was taking the beginning tournaments, I mean, I was training with Rob. Like we were all about heel hooks, Connie Basamis, and every time I would bring
crab scissors
over the hip. Well, yeah, crab scissors, right? Every time I would go to reap or bring a foot over or whatever, they would just start looking at me. like the refs, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I have to not do that. And that split second of me saying, oh, this thing that I do all the time where I bring my foot over to reap, I no longer can do. Now I'm overthinking my positioning, and then I get
And
snatched.
then you got passed, yeah.
And then I'm thinking at the end
For me, it was similar at the most recent tournament I did, except my training leading up to it, I knew I was going to be like that. So I was just conscious of it. And I was like, how can I modify these things to work with straight ankles? Because that's illegal. And I couldn't do slicers. And like, I have counters for like calf slicers. I was like so fucking mad. But I ended up getting beat by points. So I know where my deficit is now. And we're gonna fix that. But go ahead, what you were saying. I'm sorry.
That's the learning experience for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, so what happened was like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I was in these beginner tournaments, and I always found myself to be like inhibiting or limiting myself when I was in there, like from a mental perspective. I was most proud of actually my most recent competition. Actually, at my most recent competition, even though I didn't win, I got second. I felt I performed very well. I hit 2 submissions, both under 2 minutes.
Nice.
They were very smooth. They were very smooth, and it worked out really well. I hit an ankle lock, belly down ankle lock, and I hit a rear naked choke. This was all like arms. It was arm saddle. I did arm saddle, threatened the triangle, took the back, got the strangle. And then the belly down was through guard retention. I went to almost like a backside 50-50. I threw a K guard hook in, grabbed the opposite foot, swept them over. And then I had basically like a reap where I locked over the hips and I had his leg on the opposite side. So right then and there, I'm like, okay, I can reap. This is where I want to be. Right. So this made me happy because I was like, okay, well, now I don't have to overthink my position. I can do what I want. And of course, first match, I'm able to do what I want. I was able to hit the belly down ankle lock on that leg there. And I was so excited. And then the next match, I went in against this like D1 wrestler who was also a blue belt. And we had this we went to a fucking war, man. We went to a war. He literally Hulk smashed everybody. He north-southed everybody. He might have north-southing me twice. It was cool.
North-south choked you?
Yeah. Never felt more pressure. I could tell. I was like, you know what? Respect, because I could tell he repped it. I could tell he was very deliberate that was his game plan. He hit it off.
Yeah. I remember that's interesting. We had a D1 wrestler in my gym for some time. It's Eric Shaw. And his I don't know what it is about North-South with these D1 guys, man. But it was serious. It was so good. And he would get me all the time. And now I'm to the point where like he gets me maybe sometimes with it, but I will not fucking tap to anyone else's North-South because I'm like, this isn't nearly as tight as fucking Eric's. I know because I've fought through his a little bit and I just like grit my teeth and shit. I know what a good North-South is. And like,
I think it's so hard to get it with the weight distribution.
The weight, yeah, 100%, man.
Was so good at that. So he was he was really like inhibiting me from being able to turn and kind of turn into like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Well, during these rounds of him like passing my guard and me getting their attention, I almost caught him in a few subs. I almost caught him in a leg entanglement. I almost caught him in an arm bar. I almost caught him in a triangle. And he even told me afterwards, he was like, dude, those are like some tough rounds. And what I like about that is like, at the end of the competition, we can all kind of like slap hands and say like, yo, good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Like that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Everybody
Isn't it crazy how jiu-jitsu is like that? Like we're going to try to kill each other, like choke each other to death. And then afterwards, like, good shit.
Yeah. And we're all
almost killed me.
Nice. Stuff. Like everyone's just like, yo, good job, man. We all hustled out here. It was
that's awesome.
It was a cool experience. But I was happy I caught 2 subs because I never really got a sub in competition before. I only got 1.
Proud of you, man.
So I needed those 2 subs. They were very smooth. I was very deliberate. And I feel like just maybe like I was very close. I didn't feel like I got trashed. Like the competitions that I've done before.
You did that in no gi, right? You never compete in the gi?
I've never competed in the gi, no.
Bro, you got to do a white belt gi one. And then you can fucking take that to your instructor and be like, dude, it's time.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, right? Like having this gym hopping, because I went to one gym, then I went to Sarah's, then right down BBC, and then I was just doing like some private lessons. So class time is when they do the promotion, and now I just moved to another gym because I moved to Myrtle Beach. So it's like you take this time, and I feel like it's like, oh, I'm just kind of like in that waiting, but I don't really care about the belt. I feel like I want to almost be like kind of patient with it. I really like no gi a lot. I would actually, like to do an advanced tournament someday soon. Maybe not. I want to play around with intermediate. I've been having fun because intermediate, you can reap, you can knee bar, you could toe hold, you could calf splice. So it's like, all right, we have a lot of options.
It depends on the comp, man. That's like kind of my problem right now. There are some where you can heel hook at blue.
Well, at Naga intermediate, you could do whatever you want. You could heel hook.
Fucking A right. Let's go.
Yeah. That's actually the next tournament I want to do is a Naga intermediate, right? Because then you could still, okay, now I have no limitations, but I'm not going to go against Gordon Ryan, right? Because if you go into advanced, you're Gordon Ryan's level, right? It's like, oh, I could get really screwed up. But no, grappling industry is intermediate. You could do everything but heel hook. So I was actually drilling a lot of like knee bars and actually knee bar toe hold combinations and how the two work together. And that was actually a lot of fun to learn that because I'm starting to chain that together with heel hooks as well. So competing brings that like awesome edge, man. It's a really good time. What's on the horizon for you? Do you have any particular jiu-jitsu goals or are you mainly just focused on like the production quality of your?
Yeah, I think those are my actual like tangible goals. Like, of course I have the goals, like before I get my purple belt, I need to get gold. I would like to get gold in a bracket of gi and no gi. And, you know, I don't know how common my belief structure is on this thing. But a goal I have is I would really like to do a fight to win where like the stage is a big thing. Like maybe when I'm a purple belt, I'll do that one day. That would be pretty cool. I think they even do some blue belts. But that would be a cool thing to do. I would really like to do that. And then potentially, you know, get my black belt. That would be cool one day. No rush, you know what I mean? At the moment, I just want to keep filming and just network and see how far this rabbit hole goes for the production side of things because I'm really enjoying this almost as much as I enjoy the actual practice of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, man. That's what's awesome about it because it's a nice community. It's a nice niche community too. You know, there's certain individuals that do jiu-jitsu that you can speak to them differently than people that don't do jiu-jitsu. There's just a different energy.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. Like if you go to the bar like with a group of people and like maybe you don't know a guy like the group, and then you find out one of them does jujitsu, you and that guy are talking the whole time. Like it's like, can we just become best friends?
Yeah.
It's so like my girlfriend's done that with me before, where like she's like, oh yeah, here's like these people. I know like one or two people, and then she's like, oh, this guy I think does jujitsu. Talk to him, and I'm like, you train? And then
train, bro?
we just talk the whole time.
You just slap hands right then and there.
It's like, yo, Imanari roll me right now, bro. You said you're a blue belt, right?
What belt level are you? All right, what's your weight class? Okay, here, lose 5 pounds, and we got this. Let's go.
Let's go right now.
Yeah, let's go right now, man. Let's like
for real.
Slapping bottles on each other. That's part of the Baz Rutten bar self-defense.
Oh my God.
Okay, so here's like one of my final questions for the podcast.
Cool. Yeah, I do want to wrap it up. So definitely.
Have you ever had to use jiu-jitsu in a self-defense situation?
That's a great question, man. Let me think. I don't think I have. Just because man, so I'm pretty like, do you know the term "the meek will inherit the earth"? You know that
I do now.
Yeah. So that word "meek," right? It roughly translates to those who have swords but choose to keep them sheathed, right? So a lot of times, if I'm visiting a new city or something, and I have a gun, right? Like I have a pistol, I have my concealed carry license. So I'll have that with me. But like more importantly, I also, I don't know, I'm charismatic, right? I have a knack for being able to de-escalate a situation. If I can just say, hey man, like let's not fucking do this. That's the thing I want to do. I don't want to hurt anybody, right? And another thing is jiu-jitsu is really effective martial art for self-defense. Like I love it for that, but knives are scary as fuck to me still. Like if there's a knife involved in a street fight, there's going to be blood, period. And I don't like that. If I can avoid that, I will. So there have been some situations where it could have been, but I'm Brad the Bard. My charisma is through the roof. I was able to de-escalate the situation. So
I think jiu-jitsu almost teaches that in a way.
Yeah.
rather because you don't have an ego really about like, oh, I have to prove my manliness to this random person.
Yeah, no, it's like, man, I don't want to fucking make it so you can't walk anymore, bro. Because it'd be so easy to break your legs.
You just
Oh
do
my
a
God.
viral street fight.
Yeah.
Have you ever
And,
seen?
I used to box. I used to box before I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
Oh, that's a whole
as well.
nother
So,
thing, too.
so I'm confident that, you know, any random street dude, especially if he's a fucking drunk, like I can take a couple punches and dude, once I get you on the ground, it's a fucking wrap, man. Let's not do it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to not be allowed in this bar or wherever anymore. Like there's diplomacy that you can apply before the violence needs to come out. And it's important to have the violence in the pocket, right? Like you're irresponsible if you're a dude with people who are not the most, you know, able to defend themselves.
You're a
like,
soy boy.
yeah, you know, exactly. Yeah, bro. You were saying that before. Yeah, if you're a fucking soy boy, bro, like that's shitty, man. Like you can't, someone in the party needs to be able to do that brute strength shit, man. Like you got to have that somewhere and be ready to use it.
It's like
And-
what's that saying? You want to have it and not need it and not have it.
Just like a
Is that about
condom.
plungers?
Just like the pistol.
Plungers, condoms.
Plungers are great, man. All those things, man.
You got to have it because you might need it.
Yep,
You can't
100%,
need it
man.
and not have it. Yes.
I'll drink to that, man. I think that's honestly a great note to close it on, brother. Thank you so much for having me on, Jay.
Yeah, brother, that was great. So just tell us really quickly where your podcast is at, because I know you got one. That's why I brought you on here. This has been great. You are now the podcastee rather than the podcaster. But
All right, man. So you can find me everywhere here. Oh, that's backwards as fuck. Brad E.L. Bard.
Oh, no, it's straight on. It's straight on. We can.
Oh,
see
it is? Yeah,
Yeah.
my camera's fucked up from this
I can see it
perspective.
straightforward. Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, Brad L. Bard on Instagram, Facebook, all that good shit. And then Bardic Inspiration Podcast, and episode 31, I believe, is the one that I have Jay on. Jay discusses some incredible things from, you know, all of his endeavors as well. I think you have some of my favorite stories. Because man, you just went ham and like, oh man, like this one time. And
Yeah.
I'll let the viewers
man.
figure out what it was.
I went in because you know, it was fun to actually get the opportunity to talk about it. So thanks for having me on, for sure.
Absolutely,
man.
brother.
Thanks a lot.
Definitely let me know when this if you start posting about this on Instagram, make sure you tag me and I'll make sure to throw it around as well, bro.
100%, man. We're doing big things. We're doing big things.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Thank you very much for joining and watching with Brad. He is the Bard. He's great. Go follow him. And thanks for being on the White to Black Belt podcast, man, and sharing your story. Appreciate it.
I can't wait to come back. When you get your blue belt, we're gonna talk.
Yeah,
We're gonna be in the same bracket. We're gonna be in the same bracket one day. Watch.
Okay, all right. Let's get some bets going, guys. Let's get some bets
Oh
going.
man, look at the Jewish better over here.
Yeah, I want him to commentate. Otherwise, like him and Carlito commentate, and I'm good.
Perfect. Hell yeah, man.
All right.
All right.